Hello and welcome back. Today I am here to show you how to make this super cute shaker card using the Fortunate to Know You stamp set, and this is part of the Occasions catalog for 2018. Today the stamps that we're going to be using is the takeout box, the chopsticks, the fortune cookie, and the you're going to have an amazing birthday for cardstock today. Base is the crumb cake. It is 8.5 by 5.5 squared at 4 1/4. Onto that we are going to go ahead and tape down the basic black. This is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. We are going to have a piece of real red. This is cut at 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And to make the shaker part, as you can see, we have a piece of window sheet. This is 3 1/2 by 3 1/2 cut. And we are going to need some Whisper White. This is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. We are using the two largest of the layering circle framelit dies to make the ring to go around the frame part. And then the smallest one is also going to be used to cut the window out of the real red when we get there. A scrap of Whisper White and a scrap of crumb cake. For ink today we are going to be using Early Espresso. Early Espresso. This is my paper pumpkin Stampin' Spot. Still works. I'll show you how to use those the Stampin' Spots to use with the blender pen to color in the chopsticks. If you have Early Espresso paper cardstock, you can go ahead and if you so choose to, you can use that as well. I tried coloring in the crumb cake for the fortune cookie. I will show you that here. I didn't like it so much as it just stamped on crumb cake and fussy cut out, so that's why I'm going to be doing it that way for this particular card. And if there's anything else, basic black ink as well. If there's anything else here, I will fill you in on it as I need to. So I am just going to go ahead real fast here, take out that smaller of the two circle dies, and I want to cut this out so it's centered side to side and on the top. It's down from the top just about the same amount, so similar to that. That way it'll give us enough time or space for the things to go around. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out in my Big Shot, and I will be right back. And I am back, and I have this all nice and cut out now. This I'm going to keep because I'm going to show you something that I'm going to do with this particular piece here in just a second. Put my pieces off to the side. Now, I'll go over the frame with you real fast here. I took the smallest first, and went through and cut out the smallest frame, or smallest die first. And then when that came out, I went ahead and centered the largest over, so then that way it was, eyeballed it to the center, because they are too close together in size in order for them to go through at the same time in the Big Shot. I could be doing that wrong, backwards. It worked for me, so that's why I'm telling you. So saying that that part is cut out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my stamp my images here real fast. I want to make sure that that's going to be the main thing with this particular stamp. If you want to get it so that it's just perfect and centered just so, you don't want to line it up by the handle, obviously. So that's going to be kind of off. There we go. And then the next parts to the stamping, I'm going to bring this one back out, and I'll show you what I did with that little red, the cutout for the red, the real red. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink this particular stamp up here. Doesn't have to be the whole thing, because what I'm going to do is turn my stamp over, and then I'm going to go ahead and just stamp that little heart. So if you choose to do a different color other than real red, you'll still have that little bit of paper left over, the cardstock left over, so then you can go ahead and do this if you want. I'm going to let that dry for a bit while I come in here. We all knew that I did that, so I guess that's not a big deal to show here on camera, right? Gonna use my fortune cookie stamp on the crumb cake. And then I'm going to stamp the sentiment. And the chopsticks. I want to make sure that these are all inked up real good here. And there's that. My window sheet wants to come out. Close this up here. And then I'm going to take out an extra block. I'm going to go ahead and just put some of my early espresso on the clear block here. Take out my blender pen, and this is how I go ahead and use the Stampin' Spots in order to color stuff in using my blender pen. Like I said, if you had early espresso cardstock, you could just go ahead and stamp this out on early espresso cardstock and just fussy cut that out. My scrap paper wanted to run away from me. Oh well. And so I'm going to take out my paper snips here, and I'm going to fussy cut, if I can pick this up, fussy cut my fortune cookie and my chopsticks and the sentiment, and I will be right back. Alright, and these pieces have been fussy cut, and now I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut out the heart that I stamped onto that scrap round red piece here. Alright, now it is time for me to assemble my card. I'm going to get out my snail first here, and my scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to go ahead and snail the back of the heart. And this way it should stay with less adhesive on it in order for it to get stuck to. Live and learn, right? And that's all I am going to do for this back piece, is just glue on a colored heart. Now, bring in the rest of the pieces here. My window sheet is going to go on the back of my real red piece here, just to get a few things taken care of here. I'm going to go ahead and put my basic black layer on my crumb cake. Get that all adhered down. And then from there, I'm just going to be putting that aside, as well as these few pieces are going to go off to the side. And now I am using up Paper Pumpkin supplies. This would basically be your foam adhesive strips in the annual catalog. Like I said, I'm trying to use up these these supplies. So the window sheet, I'm going to go ahead and use the strip. The tear and tape adhesive is similar to this, but like I said, this is from my Paper Pumpkin stash. No sense in tearing into other stuff if I've already got this out and ready to go. So just like the tear and tape, it's going to go right around the edges here. If it goes over a little bit, oh well. It's not a huge deal. And if it overlaps, again, not a big deal. This is basically just going to be sticking the window sheet to the inside of the red. The real red. Peel those two off. And you are going to want to get all four sides of this, because otherwise your, in this case, rice will try to sneak out. Technical difficulties here. Can't get it to come undone. And then just go ahead and adhere this to the back of the real red. Now, like I said, this is from the Paper Pumpkin. Your supplies will be just a little bit different. So the foam adhesive that I'm using is already cut in a circle. Your foam adhesive strips would be actually in straight strips. So you're going to want to kind of maneuver them around. Whereas mine, I can just kind of pretty much stick straight to the window sheet and get stuck to my finger too. you'll have a little bit easier time with the straight straight adhesive here. I want to kind of form this around. So it's not exactly, this particular round strip isn't probably the best to use. Now if you do the straight, the adhesive strips, when you get around it, then you would just trim the excess strip off. Now, I am going to go ahead and put my rice in here. Now this is the time for you to go ahead and raid your cupboards, because most of us, especially I have rice. So I'm going to just add some in here. This is the brown rice. If you wanted to use or had the white rice, by all means, go ahead and use your white rice. But I'm just going to toss that in there and put my takeout right on over that. And there's the shaker. How awesome is that? I love it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. Now, whatever, if you should happen to have some of this paper pumpkin foam, just use the same kind of foam or the same thickness of foam for this next step. So whatever foam you used, try to use the same stuff, just for the fact that I will show you here. So these are the dimensionals, and here is that foam strip that I used. It's different thickness. So if you went ahead and used dimensionals back here, you're not going to get a very good, it won't adhere right. So, I had another one of these bouncing around here. Oh, wow. So you're going to want to use the same kind of adhesive, same thickness adhesive to do this next part. So I am going to go ahead and cut little strips of this adhesive to put on the corners to adhere this to the front of my card. And I like the whole corner look. I think it gives it just a little bit more stability. And like I said, these are probably just a little bit different than what you're using for the fact that I am trying to use up these other supplies. Would help if it's going the right way. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of snail on the back of my shaker part of this card. Don't want to get that to go very far. Take off the backing of all my little strips here. and center this down onto my basic black. Give it a good press over the adhesives. You don't want to press too much in the where the adhesive isn't, because you could mess up that particular card, mess up the cardstock in that area. You're going to want to make sure that that window has a good seal. So that's what I have so far. Oh my gosh, I love this card. Anyway, geeking out over the card. So bring back my spare piece of paper here, because I don't want to get adhesive everywhere. I made the mistake of attempting to use the fine tip glue pen to adhere my little frame, and it kind of got everywhere. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it was not the desired outcome, to say the least. So I'm going to go ahead and snail around in a few places, and then go ahead and get this down here as close to the window as possible, because we want this to be the frame for the window. As such, snail up my fortune cookie. And we want to put him right about there. Snail up the chopsticks. And I'm kind of off camera, aren't I? Snail up the chopsticks. Turn them over. And they will go right about there. And last but not least, those dimensionals that I was talking about, I am going to pop my fortune up on those. And kind of put that sideways there. And there you go, a finished shaker card with a rice. I do want to say, if you are going to make this, make sure that you are using dry, not cooked rice. You don't want wet rice in your card. And I hope you liked this. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time.